Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. On the agenda tonight, we have Steve Howe, and Steve, of course, guitarist for Yes, and he's going to be playing his song called Clap, and this is from 1972, and it's from the Rainbow Theatre in London. So let's get Steve up on screen and see how he gets on. I'm just going to stop it there because we've got so much great technique going on here. As players will know, if you do play the guitar, once you start playing this kind of stuff on an acoustic, it is really tough. It's one of those things I always say with the clean guitar tones that I analyze and how back in the day there wasn't much distortion. You kind of wipe all of that out for acoustic guitar because it's just purely the guitar strings in your left hand and the right hand as well, doing some hybrid technique here, and that's all there is. There's literally nothing but you and the guitar. So any tiny little mistake just stands out 10 times more than it ever would when you've got an electric guitar and some effects on there. So the playing here has to be so technically precise that it's really, really difficult to pull this off. And what I also love is the fact that Steve has just got a smile on his face and he's playing it and he's just making it look easy, which all the great players do. They can be playing something super, super technical and they're just smiling, just playing it as if they're just playing a standard D chord or an A chord. But what they're doing is actually really technical. So already a really cool groove to this as well, a nice bouncy rhythm. And I know that the rhythm kind of changes and adapts kind of as he plays through the track. Hopefully where we get to see a little bit of the hybrid technique that's actually going on with the right hand, which allows all this playing to be achieved, kind of mixing that strumming sound with also finger picking as well. So I'm just going to stop it there because we've got a great shot of his right hand, and this is one of those rare occasions where the cameraman's looking exactly where you want to look at this particular part of the track. And if you don't play guitar and you don't know what hybrid technique is, or hybrid picking, depends kind of what you call it, it's all the same thing. It's basically when you're holding the pick between your thumb and first finger. We've got a great shot of it here, and you're using the second finger on your right hand and your third finger on your right hand as well to pick with those fingers. So effectively you're combining the pick with the finger style of the right hand. So it means that you can still pick as if you were playing with your first finger, but you're using the plectrum. So you can get that really cool sound. And you know, a few players, really kind of top players, actually Mark Knopfler as well is one of those guys that introduces this hybrid technique. And you know, it's a really cool way of playing in order to mix those sounds of having that harsh attack of your pick, but also the softer sound of the fingers. And Here, I mean, Steve's one of the experts. I mean, he just seamlessly throws it in there, and it takes a lot of practice to do that. And really impressive. And the great thing is we've got a great close-up here of the right hand, so you can see exactly what's going on, holding that pick between the thumb and the first finger, and then using second and third finger to get that finger style effect in there as well. I'm just going to stop it there again because that little passageway is now becoming a little bit more classical based, and like I said, the rhythm's going to change throughout the track, and this is where we've totally left behind that bouncy feel-good rhythm at the beginning of the track, and now we're into that really kind of melodic, slower, kind of more minor based feeling in terms of it's gone to a slightly less happy place now musically. And this is the great thing, that the playing is so spot on that it can allow Steve to kind of take you on this journey to a totally different place. The other thing is, watch this back and just rewind the last 10 seconds that I just looked at, or the last 20 seconds, and imagine if Steve wasn't as good as he is and might miss a note or might not quite fret a note and it would buzz. The top players never do that. They just play their piece and you're not aware of any mistakes at any point. And everything here by Steve is just fretted perfectly, picked perfectly as well, so that rather than listening to the technical aspect of him playing, you're listening to the piece, you're listening to the notes, and you're listening to the emotion within those notes. The playing goes under the radar because it's so good you don't even notice it, and that's what the great players can do. So really cool change up here as well. I've always said about having tracks and changing the dynamics, and the best bands always do that. It's exactly the same case here for a solo artist or someone who's playing an instrument. Just with that instrument, they've got to work through those dynamics to keep it interesting the whole time. And this is what Steve does, and what Steve's got as well to his advantage is that he's just so great technically at playing that he can pretty much take it anywhere he wants to. How good was that? What a great performance there by Steve. And what I love about this, in particular the composition, is the fact that it starts off really happy, really bouncy, and then in the middle towards the end we kind of get a little bit more kind of solemn, and more questions are being asked musically as well, and you kind of experience that as somebody listening to it. It's like the track goes to a place where there are some questions being asked, and then at the end it picks back up to that original groove at the beginning, and all the great players take you on a journey, even if it's just with their instrument. Just playing an acoustic guitar, we've been taken on a journey, and you kind of end up where you started, but you've gone somewhere and you've returned. And it's a real talent to be able to do that. And also, it's a real talent to be able to compose like that. This is really impressive, even more so because it's an acoustic piece, and on acoustic you have to be so mindful of technique, and you've got to be so at the top of your game. And this pretty much for the whole 3 minutes, the 3 minutes 20, There's nothing really that you'd say in there that was bad technically. You're not aware of anything going wrong, you just accept the piece for what it is. And when an artist or guitar player can deliver that composition and you're not aware of any of the techniques that go into it, in terms of you can't hear them, you just accept it as a musical piece, then that's kind of what everyone's aiming to do, whoever picks up a guitar and tries to play. It's playing something that is never going to be judged on, oh, that was good, but then he missed that slide and missed that bend or whatever. It's just being presented a musical piece and there's no weak spots in there. You just accept it as a piece of music or a piece of art that you listen to. So real classic stuff here from Steve. What a great player he is. And this is a really great video that just shows his techniques. I really like the close-up of that right hand as well, because it shows exactly what's going into the sound and actually how he's achieving it as well. But there's, you know, it's one thing saying how it's done and then it's a totally different thing doing it. Thanks for the suggestion to watch this video in the first place. Keep those coming in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.